I'm Maya, a sophomore liberal arts major at this California university. My life's all about doodling in my notebooks, late-night parties with friends. And this endless obsession with breaking every damn rule I can find. I absolutely despise those required gen ed classes, chemistry, physics, biology, the crap they force-feed us like it's the meaning of life. I spend most of my time skipping lectures or half-assing assignments just so I can hole up in the art studio. It was a typical fall afternoon. Golden leaves drifting across campus. I was rushing through the natural sciences hallway because I was late for life drawing class. Giant iced coffee in one hand. Overstuffed bag of art supplies slung over my shoulder, rock music blasting in my earbuds. I wasn't watching where I was going, just barreling forward like always. Then, bam. Full-on collision. I slammed into someone, my coffee exploded everywhere, and chaos ensued. I hit the floor hard, stuff flying out of my bag. When I looked up, there was this girl standing there, face pale, eyes wide with horror. In front of her was a rolling lab cart, the kind science kids use for project demos. On it, an elaborate setup with test tubes, wiring, circuit boards, and stacks of notes covered in tiny handwriting. Now everything was drenched in my coffee. The model was tilting dangerously, a few tubes shattered, papers soaked in dark liquid. What the hell? She yelled, voice shaking with rage. I scrambled up, trying to wipe coffee off my ripped jeans. Sorry? I was in a hurry. She dropped to her knees, desperately trying to salvage what was left. I recognized her instantly, Elena Rodriguez, debate team captain. Everyone knew Elena, straight A overachiever, top of every class, involved in every extracurricular. The ultimate parent's dream kid they always compare you to. Always put together, hair in a neat ponytail, crisp white button-up, thin glasses. And that serious expression like she's about to argue a Supreme Court case. This was clearly her final project for advanced chem or something, individual science project worth 50% of the grade. Professor Harris showed up right after. Probably heard the crash. He surveyed the disaster and sighed. Maya Thompson, of course it's you, he said. I had a reputation for these kinds of accidents. Elena turned to him, calm but accusing. Professor, my project is completely ruined. I spent 3 months on this. Harris gave me a hard look. Maya, you've destroyed your classmates' hard work. The school can't let this slide. You'll be held accountable. I figured he'd make me pay for damages or write an apology essay. Nope. You'll serve as Elena's unpaid lab assistant for the rest of the semester. You'll help her rebuild the entire project from scratch, start to finish. No arguing, no skipping. Fail to do so, and you'll get a 0 in your gen ed and possible disciplinary action. My jaw dropped. What? Professor, I'm an art major. I don't know anything about chemistry. Then you'll learn, he said dryly and walked off. Elena glared at me, pure hatred in her eyes. You're a walking disaster, she muttered. Loud enough for me to hear. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. Lab assistant for Elena? The whole semester? Working with the school's ice queen? This was the worst punishment ever. I hated structure, hated schedules, hated everything Elena stood for. And she clearly saw me as public enemy number 1. Little did I know. This was just the beginning, and this semester was about to become pure hell. I never imagined I'd end up living with Elena Rodriguez. Let alone sharing a cramped 160-square-foot dorm room. But life has a cruel sense of humor sometimes. It was mid-December, and California almost never gets snow. But this year was different. A freak blizzard rolled in from the north, blanketing the entire campus. Everyone was hyped, snapping pics and posting stories. Me? I was just relieved it might cancel my forced labor lab session with Elena. That joy didn't last. Around 2 a.m. that night, I woke to the sound of running water and girls screaming downstairs. The main pipe in my old dorm building burst from freezing. Water flooded the halls, seeped into rooms. Soaked everything. My clothes, books, art supplies, all ruined. I grabbed my one dry backpack and bolted outside in my pajamas and Crocs. Next morning, dorm management announced my building would be closed for at least 2 weeks for repairs. They'd reassign temporary housing. I waited in a long line at the office, hoping to crash with my artsy friends. No such luck. When it was my turn, the staffer checked the list and sighed. Only one open bed left in the whole dorm system. Room 302, Building B. Your roommate will be Elena Rodriguez. I nearly fainted. Is there some kind of mistake? Elena and we don't really get along. No mistake, Maya. It's room 302 or the common lounge couch. Your choice. I picked 302. What else could I do? Elena opened the door holding a thick organic chemistry textbook. She looked at me, then at my soggy luggage and cardboard boxes, her disappointment obvious. Unbelievable, she muttered, but stepped aside to let me in. Her side of the room was spotless, like a model unit. Bed made with hospital corners, white sheets crisp. Desk organized with laptop and books alphabetized. The other side had an empty spare bed for rare guests. Walls had just a printed semester schedule and a few debate conference posters. I dropped my bag on the floor, forcing a smile. Thanks for letting me crash here. I'll try not to be too annoying. Elena crossed her arms, eyeing me head to toe. We need ground rules if we're going to survive this without killing each other. I nodded, already dreading it. A minute later, she handed me a typed A4 sheet titled Room 302 Rules. Keep shared spaces clean, no personal items outside your area. Lights out by 11 p.m. No loud music after 10. No food left in room longer than 24 hours. Give notice before having guests. Do not touch each other's study materials. I read it and gave a crooked grin. You're serious? This is a dorm, not boot camp. Exactly why we need rules, she replied coldly. I don't want to live in a mobile trash heap. Day 1 was torture. I hung my wet clothes everywhere to dry. She immediately told me to take them to the communal laundry. I left my paints and brushes on the desk. She shoved them to my corner with a "that's your personal space." I accidentally spilled some pigment powder on the floor. She whipped out the vacuum and looked at me like I'd committed murder. I was going insane from her silence and order. Elena studied late but only used her desk lamp, typed softly like she was afraid of waking the world. She woke at 6 a.m., made her bed perfectly, went running even in the snow. I slept till 10, woke up with bedhead and clothes everywhere. That first night, I lay on the spare bed staring at the ceiling, listening to her steady laptop typing. The room was so small I could hear her breathing. I glanced over. Elena sat straight-backed, glasses reflecting the screen, looking serious and, weirdly hot. But then I remembered her death glare from the lab and reminded myself, don't even go there. She hates your guts. From a few lab hours a week to being trapped in a tiny box together 24/7. Her rules clashed hard with my chaotic, free-spirited vibe. And I knew one thing for sure, these 2 weeks were going to feel like a century. But at least, in the blizzard cold outside, room 302 stayed warm. And maybe, just maybe, this collision wouldn't be all sparks and fire. The blizzard refused to let up. On the 5th night since I'd moved into 302, wind howled outside. Snow pelting the window like it wanted in. At exactly 9 p.m., the power went out across the dorm. Backup generators failed from overload. The room plunged into darkness. I was sprawled on my bed scrolling on dying phone battery when the screen went black. Elena froze mid-page on the other side. Perfect, I muttered. Now what? Elena didn't answer right away. I heard her rummaging in a drawer, then a match struck. Candlelight flickered, illuminating her face. She wasn't wearing glasses. Hair down instead of tied back. She looked softer. She placed the candle on the desk, its glow lighting the small room. No choice. We'll study by candlelight. I have a report due tomorrow. I laughed. You never stop, do you? She shrugged and sat down. I dragged myself up, grabbed my sketchbook and pencils. Might as well draw to kill time. We sat across the tiny desk, candle in the middle like a fragile boundary. At first, just page turning and my pencil scratching. But blackout silence is weird, it forces you to talk, or it gets suffocating. Elena broke first. What are you drawing? I looked up, surprised. Just random sketches. Wanna see? She nodded slightly. I turned the book around. It was a quick portrait of her, head down reading by candlelight. Soft lines, light catching her cheek, eyes focused. She stared at it a long time, silent. I got nervous. If it's bad, don't laugh. It's not bad, she said softly. It's beautiful. You've been looking at me like that? I gave an awkward grin. You're sitting right there, light's perfect. Art thing, see something pretty, draw it. Elena looked down. Fiddling with her pen. I'm not used to people really seeing me. They just see the surface, the good girl, debate captain, perfect grades. Her voice trailed off. First time she said anything not about schedules or rules. You're exhausted, aren't you? I asked bluntly. She paused, then nodded. My parents expect perfection. Dad's a lawyer. Mom's a doctor. They want Ivy League law or med school. Everything has to be flawless because I'm that kid. One mistake, and they'd be devastated. I listened. Behind the cold perfection was an Elena barely holding it together. I'm the opposite, I said. Parents divorced when I was little. No expectations, so I do whatever. Lonely sometimes, but free. She looked up, eyes softer. I thought you were just a party girl who didn't care about anything but fun and art. But those sketches you hung up, they're really good. You've got real talent. I blushed, first compliment from Elena. Thanks. But talent doesn't help with Gen Eds. We actually laughed, real laughs. Then she slid her stack of chem charts toward me. These reaction diagrams are so stiff. Can you help make them better? More artistic? Surprised, but I nodded. I redrew them, curved lines instead of rigid ones, shading for depth, molecules flowing like dancers. Elena leaned in close, our shoulders almost touching, watching every stroke. You make it come alive, she whispered. The space between us shrank, not just inches on the desk, but all the walls we'd built since day one. In the flickering light, I saw cracks in her perfect armor, and maybe she saw the vulnerable parts under my rebel act. As the candle burned low, Elena said quietly, "Thanks, Maya. Tonight, I feel lighter." I smiled, heart racing a bit. Me too. Power was still out. But room 302 had never felt warmer. I don't know exactly when the closeness between me and Elena turned into something I couldn't control. Maybe the candlelit study nights. The times I redrew her charts and our shoulders lingered too long. Or the morning she'd quietly make coffee for both of us, sliding a mug next to my drawing table without a word. We still bickered about my mess, teased each other's habits. But now there was this undercurrent, like electricity humming between us. The campus Christmas party was that weekend, big hall decked with lights and a huge tree. I love parties. So I dragged Elena along even though she resisted hard. I'm not good with loud crowds, she said. But she wore this simple black dress that made her look so stunning I had to look away. I had a few hot rums, danced with my art friends. Elena stood in the corner with water, smiling politely, watching everyone. I thought she was bored, but every time I glanced over, her eyes were on me. Then Jake showed up. Jake, my ex from freshman year. Tall basketball dude, overconfident, never accepted the breakup. He was drunk, sidled up on the dance floor. Arm around my waist like we were still together. "Hey Maya, you're looking fine. Come back to me, stop playing," he smirked, breath reeking of beer. I pushed him off. But he wouldn't let go. "Come on baby, I know you still want it." I started panicking. Crowd dancing, music blasting, no one noticing. I backed up and bumped into someone. Then a different hand grabbed mine, firm, warm. Not Jake's. "Sorry, she's with me." Elena's voice, ice cold and sharp. She stepped forward, right beside me. Still holding my hand tight. She stared Jake down with that debate glare that shuts people up. He sneered. "Rodriguez? Mind your own business." "Maya's my girlfriend," Elena said clearly, loud enough for nearby people to turn. "And I don't like seeing someone harass her. Leave. Before I call security." Jake looked at us, at our joined hands, muttered something, and slunk off. The crowd kept dancing like nothing happened. I turned to Elena, heart pounding. What did you just say?" She didn't let go. Acting. Worked, right? But she wasn't smiling. Her cheeks were flushed, maybe the alcohol, maybe something else. And her thumb gently stroked the back of my hand. We left early. Walked back through the biting December cold, light snow falling. Neither spoke. Just crunching footsteps and white breath. Our hands stayed linked, at first acting, but neither pulled away. Back in 302, Elena closed the door and leaned against it. I stood in the middle, tension thick enough to cut. Thanks, I said softly. She looked at me a long time. Her eyes weren't guarded anymore, just intense, almost desperate. "Maya," she whispered my name, voice shaking for the first time. Then she stepped forward. One step, two. Distance gone. I felt her warmth before our lips met. The first kiss was rushed, almost clumsy, like we were both scared it'd vanish if we slowed down. Then it turned hungry. My arms around her neck, hers around my waist. Pulling me closer. We kissed like we'd been holding back forever, all the clashes, stolen glances, nights feet apart finally exploding. When we broke for air, foreheads touching. Elena whispered, "I'm not acting anymore." I smiled, eyes stinging. Me neither. That night, the lines blurred, forced roommates, punished assistant, to lovers. We lay tangled on the narrow spare bed, hands locked, hearts racing in sync. Outside, snow fell. Inside 302, it was hot enough to melt winter. The science project finally wrapped. We presented to the panel on a freezing late December morning, and miracle, our presentation got perfect scores. My hand-drawn charts and artistic models turned dry chemistry into something vibrant and beautiful. Professor Harris even called it an unexpected but perfect fusion of science and art. Elena smiled all day, real smiles. She held my hand under the table when no one was looking, whispering "Thank you, baby" in a voice that melted me. But winter break was days away. Dorms closing. Everyone going home. My building was fixed, I had no excuse to stay in 302. The forced circumstances that pushed us together were over. Then the internship offer came. Elena got an email from a prestigious Boston Research Institute, winter program for top students nationwide. Only 3 spots, and she got one. 3 months with leading professors. Huge step toward the Ivy League her family dreamed of. She told me that night, curled up under blankets on our now shared bed. Excited voice. Eyes shining talking about the research, what she'd learn. I forced a smile, clapped, but inside I went cold. "You're going, right?" I asked, knowing the answer. "Of course," she said immediately. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance. My parents, they'd be so proud. I went quiet. Then couldn't hold it. What about us? She turned. Frowning slightly. What do you mean? I mean, when everything goes back to normal, no forced roommate, no daily project, are you sure this wasn't just a temporary thing? A little rebellion in your perfectly planned life? I called her babe naturally now, like we'd been doing since that first kiss. Elena sat up, excitement gone. What are you saying, Maya? You think I'm playing? I don't know. I sat up too, voice rising. You always follow the plan. Always perfect. I'm a mess, I paint. I rebel, I have no clear future like you. When you're in Boston with people who fit your world, will you still think about me? Or was I just a detour before getting back on track? She looked hurt. You don't trust me? I'm scared, I admitted, voice small. I'm terrified. Because I've fallen for you, hard. The room went heavy silent. I waited for denial, comfort, promises. But she just looked down, gripping the blanket. Then she got up. Went to her desk, opened her laptop, and started checking flights. Elena. I need to pack, she said without turning. Book flights early for cheaper rates. That was it. The days after were the coldest hell I'd known. She was still in the room, but we were strangers. She ran mornings, studied, packed neatly. I lay in bed sketching dark, chaotic pieces. We ate separately, slept separately, only polite words when necessary. I wanted to apologize, to fight for us. But every time I opened my mouth, fear and hurt won. Elena chose silence, her sharpest weapon. Silence meant she agreed with my fears, it was ending. Last day before break. I packed my stuff. She was finishing books into her suitcase. I looked at her one last time. Hoping for wait for me, we'll figure it out, or just I love you. But she only nodded as I grabbed my bag. Have a good break. Maya. I walked out, door clicking shut behind me. It's over, I thought. Just winter cold and a shattered heart to take home. The final project presentation day came faster than expected. I sat in the back row of the big auditorium, trying to disappear among science majors. I hadn't planned to come, after the cold silence and that door closing, I wanted to vanish from Elena's life. But I showed up anyway. For some stupid reason I couldn't explain. Elena took the stage in a sharp black suit, hair tied back, glasses gleaming under lights. Perfect as always. Voice confident explaining reactions, data, results. I expected a dry talk, then I'd slip out. But the final slide appeared. Not charts, my candlelit sketch of dancing molecules like ballerinas. Then more of my illustrations, vibrant colors, flowing lines. Turning abstract concepts into something alive and gorgeous. The auditorium paused, then erupted in applause. Professor Harris nodded approvingly. Elena smiled, genuine. She scanned the crowd like searching. And finally, her voice steady but emotional, I want to thank my special collaborator, Maya Thompson. Not just for these incredible visuals, but for teaching me something bigger than any formula. The world isn't black and white. There are beautiful grays, reactions not in textbooks, and sometimes the most unexpected collisions create the greatest magic. More applause. I sat frozen, tears streaming. She looked my way, even if she couldn't see me in the back. But those words were for me. After, everyone crowded the hall congratulating. I didn't join the group around Elena. I slipped to the old hallway corner, where it all started. Where I spilled coffee on her project. And she was there. Leaning against the wall, hands in coat pockets, staring at the floor like waiting. When she heard me, she looked up, eyes red, trying to hide it. Maya. I stopped a few feet away, heart hammering. just wanted to say congrats. Great presentation. She stepped closer, once. Twice, until we were inches apart. I was wrong, she said, voice trembling. For going silent. For letting you think this was temporary. I was scared, if I admitted it too soon. I'd lose everything, family, plans, the future they mapped out. But these past days without you. I realized I'd already lost the most important thing. I stared, not believing. I turned down the Boston internship, she continued, stronger now. Called them this morning. Told them I have a more important project here. But, your family. Your dreams. She gave a sad smile. My dreams changed. I'll still study, still push, but not on someone else's script anymore. You taught me that, Maya. You taught me it's okay to rebel sometimes, to listen to my heart. She reached out, gently taking my hand. Even without the blizzard, without punishment. Without forced room 302. I still want to be with you. I choose you. I want to stay in your orbit forever, if you'll let me. I couldn't speak. Just cried and threw myself into her arms. She held me tight, right in the busy hallway, not caring who saw. Her familiar scent, books, coffee, light perfume, felt like home. I choose you too, I whispered into her shoulder. Have for a long time. We kissed under the dim hallway lights, where the coffee disaster began. This time slow. Certain, like a promise. What was once forced became chosen. What felt like an ending became our beginning. Outside, snow melted, spring approaching campus. Inside us. A pull stronger than any physics law kept us close, irresistible, and neither of us wanted to resist.